today we're on the Facebook page of the West Bloomfield School District, and we're pleased to be joined by our final guest today, the Superintendent of the West Bloomfield School District, Dr. Gerald Hill, with us once again on the Oakland County Megacast. Dr. Hill, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. How are things going?
Going well over here. How are things going with the West Bloomfield School District?
Never a dull moment these days.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we're approaching the fall semester, just a couple of weeks away from its beginning. The plans in West Bloomfield were modified recently to be with K through 8 schools, K through 8 students being taught in person and hybrid in cohorts, with some coming in the morning, some in the afternoons on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday's an entirely online day. And then high school students are going to be entirely online. From the top down, what motivated that specific decision? Was it a desire from the parents, or was it an abundance of caution maybe, knowing that the high school is often the most packed a day-to-day of all the schools in the district?
So Tyler, the determining factor was when we look at the governor's my school return to school roadmap and follow both the required and strongly recommended protocols. The strongly recommended protocols, there were several of those at the high school level that we could not comply with due to the schedule of students, due to the numbers of students. Even if we divided the high school in half, there'd be 1,800 students, it'd be 900 at a time. Actually, we had 300 high school families or students select Lakers online. So it really would have been a matter of about 750 students at any given time in the high school. And we could not develop a schedule or a plan to meet face-to-face due to the social distancing aspect. And the schedules in a high school are a little different. We couldn't establish a cohort group and keep one group of 15 to 18 students together all day because they all have different needs and schedules. So at the high school level, it is going to be remote, with the exception of some self-contained special education type classes. There'll be opportunities for high school students to come into the school and get some individual or small group instruction as well. So, but that is the plan for high school, remote totally. And elementary through middle school is a hybrid model like you described.
So, Dr. Hill, what is the plan if a student or a staff member tests positive for COVID-19?
So we are still developing that plan. We expect to have a couple of nurses assigned from Oakland County and Oakland schools. They entered a partnership. And those nurses that they've hired, and they're going to place in all of the school districts in Oakland County shortly. And we will be following protocols from the health department, and that our liaison with the health department will be the nurses that we employ. I believe that West Bloomfield School District is getting 2 nurses, and then we will be working with the nurses and the Oakland County Health Department on their protocols. Obviously, there'd be a quarantine. We would, in each of our schools, the principals have identified a room that will be an isolation room should anybody not be feeling well and appear to have some symptoms of COVID-19. In that case, we would be contacting their parents to come and pick the students up, but we would isolate them at school. And then I would imagine it would go into quarantine, testing, and then contact tracing that would be involved. And this would apply to students and or any staff members that if they happen to show signs of having COVID-19.
Dr. Gerald Hill with us. He's the superintendent of the West Bloomfield School District on the Oakland County Megacast on our family of community television, radio, and other media outlets, including the Facebook page of the West Bloomfield School District today via Facebook Live. Dr. Hill, you said plans are still in place for the event, still being planned for the event where somebody, either a teacher or student, whatever the case may be, comes down with the coronavirus or feels ill during the school day. Plans across the board for a lot of school districts are still kind of fluid as we're getting closer to the beginning of the school year. There are many that are in place, and there's at least that roadmap there from the state level and even at the school district level about what's going to happen. But as we're approaching that day, our plan's still continuing to be modified and changed on the West Bloomfield level, and what should maybe families and students be aware of as we're getting closer to that first day of school?
Sure, they are, and it is a very fluid situation, and we're trying to provide as much information as we know it when we know it. For example, Tyler, last night at the school board meeting, we talked about enrollments within the West Bloomfield School District. We have approximately 5,800 students in our school district. If you take the 1,800 from the high school, that leaves us about 4,000 students in grades K through 8. Of those 4,000 students, a little over 1,000 of the students are going to start the year with our totally online Lakers online program. And so that leaves the 3,000 students left. And so we're looking at cohorting those students right now as we speak. Parents will be communicated within the week which cohort A or B that their student would be scheduled for. An interesting development has been at the middle school level, because so many families selected the online version. We're seriously considering, and will probably consolidate those middle school students that are in the hybrid program into one campus rather than having two schools, both Orchard Lake and Abbott, open. Due to the number of students that chose online, we're able to safely and socially distance, etc., house the students in one of the two middle schools. And we're going to be housing our face-to-face hybrid model at Abbott Middle School. And that's the most recent change. And it is a change. We're changing our transportation patterns and locations for some of the students that were scheduled to be at Orchard Lake Middle School. And so we're working through those plans right now, and we will be having parent communication sessions to describe how we're accomplishing that.
Well, on the note of moving potentially the middle school hybrid students into one campus at Abbott, potentially in the coming days or weeks as we're approaching the beginning of the school year, let's talk about what's going on the campus of Orchard Lake Middle School right now, where that's also going to be the location of the new West Bloomfield Middle School, and progress on the construction of the new middle school is well underway. Could you give us an update on the progress of West Bloomfield Middle School? When can we expect, even with potential maybe delays due to COVID-19, that middle school will be ready for students?
It will be ready in the fall of 2022. We lost all of our slack, if you will, in the scheduling when we initially went into the state shutdown, but our construction manager and architects are confident that we will be able to open the school on time for the fall of 2022. If you drive by the site, you'll see that much of the masonry work is emerging from the ground, and we are on schedule. The biggest challenge, or the biggest benchmark, is to have it all enclosed by the time winter comes, so that we can continue with the interior work this coming winter. And so we do expect to open the fall of 2022. And we're really excited about that project. It'll be a fantastic school facility for students, staff, and the community.
Dr. Gerald Hill with us. He's the superintendent of the West Bloomfield School District, with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. Dr. Hill, it's expected today that the Big Ten will be making a decision on whether or not to forego all sports in the fall for those seasons, including college football. Other conferences, even on the state level, such as the MAC, which includes Central Michigan University and Eastern Michigan University, have decided to forego their sports seasons, including football. The MHSAA still as of now plans to play out the high school sports seasons in the fall as they are right now, and they have not made any indication that any changes are immediately oncoming. But on a school-to-school level, that those changes may still be ahead. What is the West Bloomfield School District's take on fall sports? Will they go on as normal, or is there any chance that the school district may pull sports out of the MHSAA this fall?
So Tyler, we are watching that situation very closely, what the Big Ten and other major conferences are doing. I think one of the local conferences, the MAC, already has suspended all fall or canceled all fall sports. We will follow the MHSAA guidelines, and I would think that they are really closely watching what's happening with the Big Ten, being that Michigan has a prominent presence in the Big Ten conference. It would be a difficult decision from my perspective, for MHSAA to carry on with high school sports in light of a major college conference canceling sports altogether. So it seems to me inevitable that there will be a decision made by the MHSAA, and we will be watching closely for that decision.
Dr. Hill, recently we finally were able to have that rite of passage for the class of 2020, quite possibly the most unique graduating class we'll ever see in West Bloomfield and really in the state of Michigan and all throughout the world, those graduating seniors from high school of this year. The ceremony was expected to be kind of a similar walking ceremony you would see each and every year, albeit with COVID-19 restrictions. The weather did not permit that, and so there was a drive-through graduation. Can you talk to a little bit about that experience and how it felt for the students to finally receive their high school diploma in that way, under these circumstances, in these unprecedented times that we're in?
Yes, Tyler, that was a totally unique event. And I'm going to hand it to the students and their families for exhibiting such resilience in the last minute kind of decisions. We had planned to have a stage set up on the football field and be able to have the students actually physically walk a stage. We had a short ceremony planned and more to mirror what we normally do under graduation. But given the weather, and we had this secondary plan in place, credit to Eric Pace, principal at West Bloomfield High School, and his able assistants. They had a contingency weather plan. And the day went, from my perspective, very well. A lot of appreciation from the families, from the graduates. They were given the opportunity to be presented their diploma in full regalia, photo opportunities for the families. And so it went really well. And we had several expressions of appreciation from the families of the students. And one thing to think about, years from now, when they have a high school reunion, they will have a very unique experience that they will be able to reminisce on. Hopefully at the time they'll be able to party together, if you will, and celebrate together. But this was an important event, and we congratulate all of our students for a job well done throughout their careers in West Bloomfield. But it was, as you said, unprecedented and something we hope not to have to repeat again in the near future.
Dr. Hill, I have to say hats off to you and the team over there and trying to navigate how you're going to move forward. And one of the issues really is still busing. How are kids going to get to and from school? Hard to socially distance on a bus. And what is your budget looking like right now?
Okay, I'll get the budget one in a second. The busing is an easier answer. Busing, we are limiting the numbers of where students sit on the bus. And because so many students signed up for Lakers Online, and because we've then divided the other students in half, if you will, all students that were transported on buses will be wearing a face mask, and then they will be sitting spaced out, I guess similar to the way airlines said they were going to socially distance. I'm not sure if they accomplished that or not, but that will be our plan. Parents also have the option for providing transportation on their own, so we will do that kind of a schedule. The budget, that is a totally different matter. So far, just on PPE alone, the West Bloomfield School District has spent approximately $500,000, and that's to get us started. We anticipate over the course of the school year that our additional costs will be in the $2 million range to just prepare for and navigate all of the requirements contained in our plan, in the governor's plan. It's been really disappointing at the state and federal level that our legislative leaders are missing in action. They have not taken the actions needed, whereas we in the trenches are working diligently day in and day out, have since March. Our legislature takes recesses, both federally and at the state level. I guess our state legislators are finally going to meet this coming Saturday and do something, but it's been terribly disappointing from my perspective to see the inaction at the federal and the state level. And regarding education, one of the more fundamental aspects of our economy and getting back to normal, and just totally neglecting it from a funding and guidance standpoint.
Dr. Hill, just another couple minutes with you. Anything else for us today before we let you go?
Now, I just want to encourage all families in the West Bloomfield community, if you have questions regarding our plan, to visit our website, www.wbsd.org, and you can get any questions answered. We have a frequently asked questions section. We also have a Talk to Us link if there are any questions that you have, and emails. Any way possible, please let us know what your questions are, and we will get back to you. And Tyler, I just want to compliment Civic Center TV again for the service that you're providing to the community with these very frequent and helpful broadcasts. It's good to hear how people are coping with the challenges, and that it takes a team effort community-wide to address the COVID-19, and I think you're playing a strong role in that. So we appreciate it.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much, Dr. Hill. Dr. Gerald Hill, the Superintendent of the West Bloomfield School District, with us on the Oakland County MegaCast.